If you're interested in starting a YouTube channel for fun and/or profit, check out the YouTube Producer's Handbook 2nd edition. It's on Amazon right now in paperback and for Kindle. So if that's something you're interested in, check it out. If you want to be notified when Breakfast Club videos go up, remember to subscribe and click the bell.
You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna cry, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose.
Well, that was fun. 2 years of my life put on hold, losing several jobs, remaining unemployable and being absolutely smeared by mainstream serpent media and tens of thousands in costs to the taxpayer.
Now, you guys know my feelings on freedom of speech, so I'm not really going to get into that today, except to say that this very thing is why freedom of speech is important. And these clips are, of course, from Count Dankula's freedom of speech, or the Price of Freedom video, which he just uploaded recently. As you guys know, he didn't go to jail, and he has to pay a fine, $800 fine, which he's actually going to fight. But as I said, the issue isn't freedom of speech, but why it's important that he actually fights this battle. And the importance is very simple. It's precedent. As we saw this happen with the H3H3 case, where a precedent was set for fair use. And it was very important, not just for H3H3, but for YouTubers in general, especially those who do any kind of commentary or reactions or anything of that nature, and they actually use the clips and use the things fairly, making an actual transformative work. There's now precedent set that this is actually legal and not copyright infringement. In this case, I think it's pretty much going to be about the same thing, setting precedent. I'm curious as to whether he's actually going to win the case or not, as freedom of speech, and a lot of people think freedom of speech is like a thing. All the democracies have freedom of speech, and if you're a westernized country, that's not true. Freedom of speech is a thing that's big over here. Other countries talk about it, but there's especially like in the UK and places like that, there's a lot of compelled and controlled speech happening. We saw that with the Jordan Peterson thing. His whole fight is about compelled speech, where the government says you have to speak this way for these reasons. Whereas with this case, obviously, there are things that you can't say, things that you can't show. And let's be real, in every situation, every country, there's some things you can't say. Again, you can't yell fire in a crowded theater here in America. So there are some things that do not fall under freedom of speech. First, let me say this. This was an overall silly case. All right. The video itself was silly, and the fact that this actually got to any court anywhere is sad. It's like this shows that this particular court system obviously had nothing better to do with their time. There's like zero crime if this is what's getting to the court system, if this is what's getting in the court systems there. But again, I'm looking at this through American eyes. But one of my fears with this case is that things will not work out as good as they did for H3H3, going back to what I said previously about other countries and their feelings about freedom of speech. And one of the big arguments is that context matters. The problem is that the way the law is written, it specifically takes into account context as well as what he actually did. He literally broke the law. And unlike America, he literally has no defense, because in this case, the context is actually taken into account. And while this may have been a joke, he was technically doing this to annoy his girlfriend. Now, his girlfriend probably didn't want him to go to jail over it, but technically, he broke the law. So it seems that the only thing that they really have to consider is not whether or not he broke the law, but the severity of the punishment for breaking said law, which is where the $800 comes in. And it is a scary law, because these are the kind of laws that are made to make people disappear, especially in situations where they may be controversial and actually have a point. His video was a silly YouTube video. But think about the amount of political discussions that we can't have in this country because they're deemed offensive. Can you imagine having those discussions with this law being in place? Instead of just fearing some blue hair making a mean tweet about it, you may actually end up going to jail. So the question here isn't whether he broke the law. The issue is that it's a shitty law. So that may be the battle that he will eventually have to fight. Alright guys, you take it easy. Nathan Brandon Masters. Hasta.